Good morning, everybody. It's Saturday, and that means it's time for the Going On Daily live morning show. Yay! Give yourself a
Woo!
hand. You woke up, you're getting stuff done, but you can still listen to us and have some fun and learn some stuff. In case you didn't know, the first thing you're going to learn is my name is Ira, and I am privileged enough to introduce my co host, Lena Williams.
And no, the pleasure's all mine. It
Is
really
it,
is.
as you excuse my thumb because my screen, I want to be able to see all the comments that you put in there,
Right.
because you can
Exactly.
talk to us.
Yep.
That's how this goes, right, Lena?
Yes, it is. And so comment if you're paying attention.
Please. And you're wondering how you can comment, right? So let's get right into that, which is you can check us out on almost every social media. We're there. I mean, we might be on dating sites for all I know. We could be anywhere. But the main ones right now are Facebook. You go to Facebook at RI Broadcasting. Now pay attention, they're not all the same. See if you can spot the differences. So Facebook at RI Broadcasting. It's Twitch at RI underscore broadcasting. TikTok at RI Broadcasting. YouTube is at Rhode Island Broadcasting. And then, of course, there's Patreon. It's Patreon at RI Broadcasting. You want to pay particular, uh,
Hmm.
attention to that one because that's where you can buy our Going On Daily merch. You can go on, see that little logo that's between Lena and myself? You can get that on a coffee mug. You can get it on a sticker, a magnet. And that's how it works. And when you're on social media, remember to share and to like and, you know, even give us some
Spread the word.
stars. So
Yeah,
that
definitely.
helps us out. And by the way, remember that should be something in life. You should share, you should like. This is stuff you learn in kindergarten.
Oh, it's go to the Going On Daily page on Facebook.
Oh, I forgot about that. That's new.
That
And
is
people
new.
are going there.
Some blood, sweat, and tears happened, and then that was born. So
Ah,
yeah.
thank you, Captain Ron, for
Hallelujah.
doing all this. You know what? We should give a little applause to Captain
Yes.
Ron because he's the one who gets everything going for us, and we appreciate him so much. Well, it is Saturday. It's the last day in May,
It is.
which I, I don't know. Is it because we're getting older that we say things like the year is just going
Yes.
by so fast?
Yes. I think that's
That's
why it is
why.
because we're older. Yes, I do. I believe that's what it is. Right?
Yeah, the summer always seems to be, when you're a kid, it lasts forever. And now it's maybe because we don't have summers off anymore.
That's true. Well, although I think we were that it went. Yeah, it went by faster though. I think when we were kids when summer was coming, because
Really?
summer would. I think at least summer went by real fast because we,
I think summer was slower for me because every day you
yeah,
were doing something different.
yeah.
I
But you
went to
loved it.
camp.
Like I don't know. For me, everything
Exactly.
something that I really love. I get into a zone where I'm enjoying it so much that everything I enjoy is like never. It's always over too fast for me. It's never long
Uh,
enough for me. And the summers I loved. So although I started working real young, so I can't say I had all my summers off, but I enjoyed my summers to the point where I was
uh,
so mad that they were like already over. That happened fast for me, but anyway.
well, it's a good thing that we got into this
Mhm.
because here's what we want you to know. And today, our first topic is how to set up your perfect summer. So I think we should find out and
This
see
is a
if
good
these
time to do
people
it too.
agree.
Yep.
I agree. Now, I didn't just come up with this list myself. There was a survey of 2,000 people,
Mhm.
and okay, that's a big enough cross section where you can go, maybe they'll have something, maybe they forgot, but let's see
Right.
what they have to say. These are things you have to do, all of them, for the perfect summer.
Okay.
Okay, first one I think is fairly obvious. You got to go to a barbecue or a cookout.
Yes.
Okay, now we already discussed the
We
differences
did.
between the two.
That rolls right
Oh,
over
look
from
at
last week. Yep.
Ron is already jumping away. Don't worry, Ron. We'll get them up there. Uh, but they specify for the perfect summer, you have to have at least 4 of them. So you have to attend 4 barbecue
Oh,
or
okay.
cookouts.
Wow.
Can you
Okay. Well,
go ahead?
that's tough. I don't know. I'm not sure
Is
though.
it tough?
Yeah, it is. I mean, unless you start crashing people's that you don't know, which you could do. Not saying you
Why not?
nobody would know. Well, honestly, I wonder if people would really know if you just showed up to a random one and started eating and drinking and saying, "Oh, I'm with the other side of the family." You're like a
Yeah.
wedding.
I was going to say it's like wedding crashers, but
Yep.
barbecue crashers. You don't even have to dress up. You just walk in with a Hawaiian shirt. And you're like, hey, I'm here for the burgers.
But hey, for you guys at home, yes, Ron is right. Send us invites so we want to make sure we have enough to choose from. So tell us
That
about your
way we're
cookout
not
so we can
crashing.
show up. Yep.
But it's not crashing if we're invited. I want to actually crash a
Okay.
barbecue now.
Well, we can still crash one. We could still crash one.
Ron's recommending Colt State Park to crash.
I'm recommending Goddard Park because we live in Rhode Island and that's where all the dang cookouts happen. Well, not all of them, but a lot of them happen at Goddard Park, which is the other side of the state. So.
Well, as long as we're doing this, Eisenhower Park represent. Okay.
All right.
Now, okay, did you already have one for Memorial Day? Did you go to a bar? Oh, you were probably working, right?
I work every holiday. I don't leave my
Yeah,
house. Like so, every
that's what
time
happens for
everybody else
day.
is off having fun, that's when I get to work. So
Oh,
it's okay.
I,
I make
hope you get
money.
hired for a barbecue.
I have. I've been hired for barbecues. That's when I go to the. Honestly, this is when I go to them. Is when I'm playing the music. That's when I get to them. You know.
So this shouldn't be that hard for 4 because there's a barbecue on Memorial Day weekend.
Hmm.
There's usually a barbecue on July 4th.
Right.
And then there's usually one for Labor Day. So that's 3 right there.
True. Yes.
So
For those
and
of you
there's
not
always
work.
like a
Yes. For those of you not working those holidays, those are great days to go. So those are
except
the
for
ones.
like
No, that's okay. That's okay. It's my job for 40 years to be the person that works when everyone else is partying. That's the and
and I
Father's
think
okay.
Ron crashed the
Father's Day.
4th one. Father's Day, graduations.
Graduations. What else? We have
Other
a lot of
birthdays.
reunions happen over the summer.
Yes, in
A
the
lot of family
summer.
reunions and then just general class reunions. Sometimes high school reunions, things like that, outside. So that's a
So
thing.
you're right. It's not that hard to get to 4 if you think about it.
Birthdays, quinceañeras, sweet 16s. I mean,
Yep.
that's
Plan
what
them
we
when
do.
school is out.
Yep.
Okay, the next one is getaway road trips.
Oh,
So
yep.
Ron is saying, by the way, there's no excuse not to send us invites, and we will
No,
accept them. Send them to Rhode Island Broadcasting. I gave you all the social
I think you
medias.
should put them right in the comments. Just put them
Yes.
right in the your name, your address, the whole thing, and we'll just all come to your house.
Yeah, maybe you don't want your address up there.
I'm
Maybe
kidding.
send it to
It's a joke. It's a joke. Obviously, I would hope people would not do that. But
I hope.
yeah.
By the way, if you are listening, I'm going to send you this is a very short plug for everyone out there. For the first 1,000,000 people who send me $1, I will tell you how to become a millionaire over the internet. So there you
Very
go.
smart. Very smart.
Try that one. Now, the second one for a perfect summer are getaways and road trips. And they say you should take 2 of them. And those are like weekend or long weekend trips.
Hmm.
Do you have any that you like to go on? Anything in particular?
All of them are work related. Yes.
All of them are work related.
Yeah. If I take a trip, it's work related or it's family related, meaning somebody's getting married, there's a funeral, something like that's happening, and I have to travel to wherever somebody in my family lives to do that. Those are the only road trips I take. It's either that
Oh,
or
wow.
it's work related. I'm on the other side. I'm getting somewhere where there's a gig that I need to play music for, and that's part of my trip. Yeah, I'm a workaholic.
Okay, I'm going to
Workaholic
have to
people.
plan a barbecue here just so I can invite you guys to come down here. So then it won't be a work trip. I mean, a little bit because
I
we
probably
work together.
I probably wouldn't, but not that it would be offensive to you. I wouldn't mean to not that I wouldn't love to come, but I probably wouldn't. I usually don't leave my area unless like somebody's paying me on the other end to get in my car. But yeah, um,
I'll pay
He's
you in hot
terrible.
dogs and hamburgers and chicken. How's that?
Ooh. And I have to bring, and I like to bring my dog too. If I have to get a dog sitter, then I
Oh,
better be
that's
worth it.
fine.
Yeah.
Nope, that's fine.
You
Dogs
want
are
my
accepted here.
130-pound dog to come with me? Okay.
Yes.
We're on
Oh,
our.
what kind?
He's a
Very quickly,
Rottweiler.
what breed?
He's a
What kind?
Rottweiler. Rottweiler.
I love Rottweilers.
Oh, you love my dog. You love my
My
dog.
daughter would just be like hugging him and or her.
Oh my god! And my dog loves children. Oh, he loves children. Like
Well,
he's
she's
protective
23
of.
now.
Yeah, but he still love. It doesn't matter. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. He picks the
Okay.
youngest out of the groups and he protects them. He's good like that. Yeah.
Okay. Now,
Mhm.
I did this on my show, the Circling the Drain podcast, where we
Oh,
were talking about this, and I asked them where are we going, and because you have to take 2 road trips for it to be a
mhm.
perfect summer.
Okay.
And now I'm just getting texts from everybody going, you should go here, you should go here, you should go here. So I'm definitely going to be taking a road trip this year.
All right. And you know what? I agree that somebody should give, or we should get comments here
Yes.
telling us, where do you go for road trips, or where are you guys planning to go for road trips, right? Or what have you already done so far? And then what do you think we should do? You know, for whatever area you live in, what's the best stuff? Like, where's the best hiking? Where's the best like attractions for the places
Whatever
that you
you
live?
want to do, right?
Right? Tell
Which
us all
reminds
about it.
me, where did Becky go? Do you remember where
She went
Becky
to
went?
she went to Banff.
Banff. That was it. Yes, I knew it
Yes.
had a
And
weird name.
I definitely want to go. That's something I really want to do. That
It
was just
looks cool.
beautiful. It was beautiful.
Now here's a question for you for a perfect summer
Okay.
because you're so into music. Do you
Hmm.
go to concerts?
I'm a weirdo. Anybody that knows me knows I'm a weirdo. I like going to concerts, but of course I don't want to go like a regular customer.
Uh-oh.
And I had an ex-boyfriend for years that was a sound guy, and he spoiled
Oh,
me rotten. So I always came through the back door, always had a pass, always had either that, or
ah,
I work for a radio station as well. And
right.
so I have friends that work for Live Nation and things like that. And so if I can get, I don't, it's not really that I want free stuff. It's that I don't want to be stuck in the crowd areas.
I understand that.
I don't mind meeting the artist. I'll do that if you offer that to me. But honestly, I
Oh, you
really
don't
want to.
mind meeting famous musicians? Okay, that's a
No,
good
and
thing.
I always have, and that's not the attraction for me. The attraction for me is like, how do I get around all of the nonsense and craziness? And I really love an artist. I want to be able to get where I can see them
Oh,
good and listen to them well. And so I spent many shows behind either the sound board or in the green room or on the side of the stage. Unfortunately, I was spoiled like
oh,
that. So when I go to a regular concert, I'm just like frustrated. I'm like, oh, I have to go in the front door and I have to deal with these people. It's terrible, but
I had to pay
um,
for food and beverage. Oh
yeah,
my god.
my business for years between DJing and working in radio and having an ex that was a sound guy for years. I almost never went to a concert like anybody else did.
Oh my god.
Right down to somebody putting out cones so that I can park in the back when I got there. Real spoiled. I think I got sent a police escort one time. That's if
You were living the
I'm gonna
dream
write a
then.
book. I'm gonna write a book about this stuff. But
Oh,
yeah,
you absolutely should.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah. And Great
okay.
Woods.
Ron
So
is
Great
giving
Woods is
us
what we
Great
do.
Woods.
Great Woods is it's called Xfinity now because Comcast bought it out a little while ago.
Hmm.
But years ago it was called Tweeter. It was called Great Woods, I think, first. And this is just like Mansfield, Massachusetts. It's this huge concert area that's got a lot of grassy knoll or grassy. It's got
Hmm.
good seats, but it's also got a big, like, great. I think I don't know if I think the grass is still there, but you actually could get lawn seats, and that's what most people do. I'm a
I
Dave
like that.
Matthews fan, so I that's where he goes when he comes this way. So that's where we go to see him. And luckily Dave Matthews is not. I love seeing him, but he's more of
Oh,
a hang out and sing with his stuff kind of stuff. Like he's a yeah Van Halen. There's so many shows that I saw Phil Collins there, years ago. Years ago.
I'm so
I
sorry. I won't
I
see
went to
him
Phil
again.
Collins by myself on my birthday in like the 80s. And it was because his tickets were so expensive, but I loved him so much. and I knew that I just wanted to go. I didn't want to miss. I'm one of those. I like to go. I don't care if people come with me or not. I just want to go to catch it because
Oh,
I don't want to miss it. And I paid for one ticket. I think it was $80 in 1987 or 8 or something like that,
wow.
and
That's a
drove up there
lot
by
back then.
myself. Yeah, that was a lot, but so you can't expect other people to. Sometimes they don't want to kick the money in, and I wasn't
Hmm.
buying somebody else tickets on my birthday,
No.
so I just went. It was cool.
And you brought
Yes.
up something, which is,
Yes.
going by yourself is an awesome because a concert, you're not really talking to anybody anyway.
Right.
So you're fine. But since ticket prices are so outrageous
Right.
nowadays, I mean, it's $400 or $500 just to get into nosebleeds for some of these.
Yep.
Remember, there are concert places where you can go to where you can just, I brought out my lawn chair and we
Yeah.
brought some food with us. So
Tailgating.
music
Yep.
is great. Go out and experience it, and it definitely should be part of a perfect summer.
Absolutely. No, I agree. I agree. Shout out to Live Nation and Ticketmaster for merging and making tickets the most ridiculous prices
Yeah,
known to
thank
man.
you.
And John Oliver, if you're a fan of his, did a whole section or did a whole 20 minutes editorial on that, so that you could find out where all of your ticket prices coming from when you start seeing $2,000 tickets and eighteen
By the
hundred
way,
dollar ticket and all that kind of stuff like Taylor Swift went through. Yeah, it's not the
now
artist.
that you said that,
Yes.
wait, now that you said that, Ron, would
Hmm.
you contact Live Nation and see if we can get some sort of hookup and some sort of discount, and maybe we can give away some tickets?
Yeah, we could report to you live from the show.
That's right.
That
As
can
you
be
know,
done.
Wayne is an
Ron's
expert
on it.
from
Listen,
from
yes,
sitting on the side and
exactly. I probably would be really good for that because at least it would make me useful at that show.
yeah.
And I know the artists that are there would love it because they would get exposure, so they'd be fine with it. But yes,
So
there are
let's
all kinds of
go.
free concerts in Providence and Newport, and there are all kinds of stuff over the summer. We have something called yeah, it's not. I want to say it's the Leaston Bridge downtown in Providence. Some friends of
Okay,
mine every Friday night actually have a little show they do. They're DJs. They come down and they literally play music on Friday night after work. And you
perfect.
go down there and you hang out. And they also are setting up some like little live shows, local artists and things like that. Acoustic stuff that they're doing on that bridge, and it is the Leaston Bridge. I think it's Edward Van Leaston Bridge.
Nice.
Sorry for my friends. Don't kill me because I can't. It's not in front of me, and I don't want to call it the pedestrian bridge because I know they don't like that. But yes,
Ooh,
every Friday, it's pretty cool to go down there and hang out after work and just enjoy the sunset and just listen to music. And it's very cool.
sounds like heaven. Again, things you do in the summertime you're not going to do any other time of year.
Right?
And the next one is festivals and carnivals. It says you should do at least two of those.
Yeah.
And I'm spoiled because in New York you can just go into Manhattan and you're going to bump into one in the summertime. You don't know
That's cool.
what it's going to be,
Yep.
but you know it's going to be there. And I hope you take advantage of those. Do you go to those things?
I get hired to work those, so yes,
Ah,
I go to those to work them all. It depends. Sometimes, a lot of times, friends of mine are at those or working them or something like that. So I will check those out. I don't really go just to invite. Seafood festival is probably the one that I go to that is absolutely like something I choose to go to. I
mhm.
pay for and I enjoy because I love it. And
I
depends
think
on
I had
where
to
they
come
are.
up to your area
Yes.
just for that.
Yes, because there's 2 places I think that they normally do those, and, they're amazing. So
Oh.
that's something I do. I make a point to go to. Yes.
The next one's picnics. When's the last time you went on a picnic?
Uh, when I was a kid. When I was a
I said
kid.
it when I was dating my before she was my ex-wife. She was my wife. Before that, she was my fiance. Before that, she was my
Mhm.
girlfriend. So we're going back a long, long time. Ron says he did one last summer.
Okay.
I think you should do that. It's nice out,
I mean,
but
it's a
you could do the
cool
picnic.
idea for a date. It is.
It is.
Should you find a date you actually wanna talk to for 10 minutes, it would be very cool to set something like that up, and Ira and I have had a whole different, story going on that. But yeah,
Oh yeah.
it's kind of I like that because I mean, you obviously you wanna make sure it's somebody you know and trust, But
Yes.
it's really cool because it's kind of low key. You know, you eat, you drink, you talk, and it's not a $200 restaurant. I don't know. I'm not always impressed by the $200 restaurant. That's not my thing. So I think picnics are better. They're more creative.
I agree.
You
And if
know.
you could do it by like what you were saying, I don't want to say pedestrian bridge, but that's the one I remember. A place like that where maybe somebody is playing some acoustical
Yep.
music. It's
But you know what?
beautiful. It's a perfect date.
Bring your music. Bring your little Bose Bluetooth speaker. Done. Or
And
even
by the
bring
way,
put it put it near your car and turn your car speakers on. Whatever.
and you could do it for families too. Bring a
Yeah.
frisbee, bring a cornhole set, whatever. Let the kids run around. Nice
Hmm.
field. You're fine. The next one I think Ron brought up before, which is hiking and camping.
Yeah.
Are you a hiker or a camper?
I am not a camper. I want to. I actually enjoy it. I want to kind of get into that a little more, but I am a hiker. I hike 3 times a week.
Oh
Of
wow.
course, I'm a weirdo and hike not like anybody else does. But I am a hiker.
Wait, why does that make it a weirdo? Look,
Uh,
Ron
because I
loves it.
hike I hike at night with my dog, and I typically sometimes do it alone. I enjoy that. I just kind of like walk around, and not a lot of people think I'm crazy because they're afraid something's gonna happen to me. You're gonna end up on the first 48 doing that.
Your
But
dog is a
with that dog,
130-pound Rottweiler.
yeah, he did sniff. He'll sniff people out. He's done it before. I think we talked
Hmm.
about this on a previous show that he
Yep.
found somebody in the bushes, you know, and they were like, "Oh, I have a dog nose up my butt." Okay, so yeah, I'm not worried about anything with him, but I really enjoy it at night because I like to let him just run, and he gets a chance to. If anybody follows my page, you could see various videos of him picking up like huge logs and walking around with them.
Oh my God.
Um, yeah, that's his whole thing. He likes to pick
Are
up
you sure those
really
aren't
big ones.
called people?
Yeah, no, but although one was a deer leg, and we didn't realize it because it was night,
Ah.
and until I got back to the car and realized he was trying to take it with us, and I'm like, "Oh, what is this?" Like, and I finally realized, "Oh, yeah, it was part of a
Yeah,
deer
you can't take
carcass."
that. No.
No, but otherwise, he just likes to, you know, pick up big tree branches and walk around them. It wears them out. So
Give a
yeah.
shout out to your page so people can see that.
Oh, so well, my personal page. If you're following me on Facebook, then you would just it's Lena
Click
DJ
on it.
Lena Williams.
There you go.
You can follow my dog, who's Tucson B
I love
Williams.
that.
Yep, he has his own page, and you can see all his stuff. And might as well do Lena and Dave, Love and Life with Lena and Dave, while I'm at it. So there you go. That's my
We did
podcast.
4-hour podcast the other
We did.
day.
I'm whittling it down. I'm working on it.
I can't believe we did, and we just scratched the surface of
Yeah,
what we were talking about too.
exactly.
But going back to camping,
Hmm.
I don't know about you guys. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with quote unquote glamping, but I
No,
am a bring a tent, cook by the fire, sleep in a sleeping bag. I think that's great. I
right.
I love that.
You roughing
So
it. You're
whatever
roughing it.
gets you outside, do it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Which brings me
I
to the
agree.
one that I just don't like. I'm sorry, and I'm sure Ron's going to have an opinion by the tent by the fire is great. Fishing,
Mhm.
I couldn't care less. I've been fishing. I've caught some fish. Times I haven't.
Mhm.
I no, just no for me.
So I like seafood, so I'm always good to date a guy that's a fisher because then he brings it back and we eat it. So if he can clean it and bring it to me, I'll cook it and we'll eat it. That's the fun part I like. I enjoy the part where you're kind of sitting out and relaxing and listening to nature
Yeah. Oh,
while
there's
you're
the
waiting
dog.
for the fish to bite. That's kind of relaxing to do that, but other than that, yeah, I get it.
Uh, the next one is, and Ron said before going to movies, but this is summertime. Find a drive-in movie. They are harder to
Yeah.
find, but it is worth it. Yeah, he was behind you before.
Yeah, he was. Yes.
Is there a drive-in movie theater anywhere in
We're
within driving
losing.
distance?
We had so many before. We have a couple left, but they're not as many as we used to. Also,
Oh, jealous.
we have a park called Rocky Point Park, and Ron will know what I'm talking about. And
Hmm.
they made it into a state park. All the rides went away. It was an actual amusement park at one time. And I think Six
Uh,
Flags, and everything else ruined that. But they do in the summer do these really big like movies out in the middle of the field, and they put up like a movie screen, and I think they just run classic movies. But every couple of weeks, I think they do one like that, and that's kind of cool. It's nice. It's outside, and they put like a big. I don't know if it's like a big. I forget what they do, but anyway, yeah. So there's a bunch of places around here that will do that, and then we have two like still remaining that I know of drive-ins that people still go to. So
we have one.
probably more
It's
than that,
in
but two that I know of.
about an hour and a half north. It's upstate New York, Warwick, New
Hmm.
York, and they show new releases, a double feature, and it's
Wow.
$15 to get in. And it's just perfect.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
I recommend finding them and going to them. They're having fun.
Yes. I actually once watched a very weird documentary, but that's what I do on YouTube. And it was about it was a guy that just drove around town or drove around the country and just he highlighted different drive-ins that were trying to
Oh,
continue. I can put that in the comments later, but it was to talk about different, how they had just the business of drive-ins, especially when the pandemic came. I think that was why they did it, because the pandemic kind of drove
mhm.
people back to drive-ins for a little while.
Yes. People would
And
make them
so
in
it was
parking
very
lots.
cool. It was just like, this is what we do. We added this, we added that, we added an outdoor bar, we whatever. And they talked to the owners of these places.
I like that.
It was pretty cool. But anyway,
You know what's
boom.
funny is I really thought you were going to say I saw a documentary at a drive-in. And I was like,
Nope.
wow,
I
that's
just saw one about drive-ins, and I'm the weirdo that'll sit and watch that for like an hour and be like, that's fascinating.
nothing
And
wrong
one of
with a
them was in
documentary.
Massachusetts too. I forget whereabouts in Massachusetts it was. I think it was on Cape Cod or something like that. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I forget the name of it, but like I said, I'll post it somewhere later.
Okay, definitely.
Yeah.
They also have. Okay, I'll finally get Ron. You said you like canoeing. Anything in the water, canoeing, rafting, surfing, swimming. That's the time to do it because it's
Yes.
cold other times, or you don't
Yep.
want to be indoors. You want to, the outdoor pool. The pool here is open. I haven't
Right.
gone yet because it's 60 degrees, but we'll get there.
Yep. Kayaking. And I have those
Kayaking.
paddleboarding friends. I have friends that do that stand-up paddleboarding thing. I
Oh
can't do it,
God, yeah.
but I do have a couple of friends who do that, and I think that's great. I
And it
think I'd
looks
fall.
amazing.
Yeah. Some of them with their dogs, which is so crazy. But yeah, if you get a
That
chance
always gets
to
me,
ever
man.
check that out, look it up. And some people actually take their dogs, and their dogs stand there while they paddle. And I'm like, I don't know how they do that. We'd all fall in the water, but yeah, it's
Hmm.
fun to watch.
That is the funny thing when they sit there. You see them on a motorcycle or something, and you go, "No, they love it," or are they just, stuck?
I always feel like
Yeah.
that. Like, I think people project onto their animals their
Oh,
thing,
definitely.
and so they'll be like, like that they're a captive audience. Well, only my dog understands me. And I'm like, well, do they have a choice? Like, do they? Or my,
Exactly.
well, they have to. You're going to feed them at some point, so they're not going to go anywhere. Whereas people can just get in the car and leave and not listen to you, so and find somewhere else to eat.
Absolutely.
Anyway,
So the
that'd be
moral of the
silly.
story is get a dog, and you'll never be misunderstood.
Exactly, exactly. But an oracle is always fun, right? So,
True.
oh my
Okay, the
goodness.
last thing on the list, and I had to think about it for a minute.
Yep.
I'm like, oh, but it is kind of a summer thing.
Hmm.
How many times during the year do you just make your own and drink lemonade?
I do it all the time,
Really, you make your own lemonade even
but I
in the
don't.
winter?
My lemonade isn't like, of course, again, like everybody else's.
Oh, you're a
So
different cat.
yeah, and I like to throw green tea in. I just like to get water and get hydrated, and so sometimes I
Yeah,
can't stand just plain water, so I'll throw like lemon slices in water and just like a little bit of stevia, and that's like a lemonade for me. But yeah, but I do make it all the time. It just maybe not anything anybody else wants to drink, but yeah, all the
well,
time.
because I thought about it and I'm
Lemon's
like,
good
oh
for you
wow,
too. Like fresh
I
lemon is
haven't
good
had
for you.
lemonade except for summers. So
Exactly.
now here's things that was their list, and I'm fine with it. That's a lot of things. That's for a perfect summer.
Okay.
But there are a few things that they didn't mention, and I think number one is going to the beach. I mean, I'm not a beach person because I'm going to
Hmm.
turn bright red, but a lot of people go to the beach. Isn't that a summer thing?
It is. It is here. I do.
Yeah, so
I'll probably
I
go
don't
2 or 3
understand.
times. Again, I usually take my dog. We go to private beaches and stuff like that, and we tool around. Or it's a good way to get exercise without hitting pavement and sweating and all that. So yeah, it's
Ron
great
wants
fun.
to go beach swim with the sharks.
I
Okay.
think you can, Ron. I think there's probably a place you could actually do that. I mean, if you go to Cape Cod and jump in the water, I think right now you could get a couple of great whites, so you should be
I
all
think
right.
they just spotted a big one the other day on the
Yeah.
news.
Yep.
So there you
So
go.
you can definitely do that. I mean, you may not make it out, but these are the odds that we this is the life we live. These are the
Hey,
chances we take.
he said swimming. He, as long as he was swimming, if he passes
Yes.
away,
Whatever
he
happens.
still swam with him,
Yep.
so he's
Block
fine.
Island. Sorry, maybe I thought it was Cape Cod, but Block Island.
No,
Yeah.
that's right. It was on Block Island. It was a
Yep.
massive one too.
So that's my
Uh,
go-to in the summer. Block Island. Yeah.
here's something I did with my daughter.
Hmm.
Not anymore, but we would catch fireflies in the backyard.
Oh, see, you say fireflies. I love that. So do we. You don't say
See,
lightning bugs
those
like
are
they do
so.
in the
Oh,
South.
that's the difference. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just spending time with the family in the backyard. It's
Yep.
nice weather. That's
Yep.
what you do. Speaking of animals,
Hmm.
making a little jump from bugs to animals, I love going to the zoo in the summer, but not
Hmm.
when it's too hot because then all you see are the animals doing this. But
Yeah. 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 Exactly. It depends on the animal, obviously. If you got some tigers and lions, though, they're used to the African, what have you. So they're, but some of them, man, some of those animals, you're just like, oh man, this is not their
I
thing.
know
This is
there's a
not what it's
bear
supposed to.
just.
Yeah, just So anyway,
But the seals are always entertaining because
yeah,
already in the water. It's fun. And speaking of, you can go to an aquarium if you
right.
want to. I want to see animals, but I want to be in air conditioning. Go to the aquarium. You can do that.
And you know what? You mentioned movies earlier, and yeah,
Yes.
movies outside is great. But when you get into when I was a kid anyway, in the like dead of summer when it's like 95 degrees outside and it's
Uh,
just like unforgiving, that's actually a great place to go is hit to sit in a movie theater and
I
watch
agree.
something. It's actually, that's the only time I think that you would do it indoors, right? When it's so hot outside that it's just like insufferable.
Well, I have
So,
another place you can go when it's really too hot outside and you want to
mhm.
go somewhere. Why not go to a museum? It's
Yeah,
air
that's true.
conditioned in there.
Yep,
There's art museums, there's history museum. There are so many different types of museum. We
I
have the
agree.
Museum of Sex, the Museum of Ice Cream, the Museum of find a museum. Just
Yes.
go. You'll have fun and you'll learn stuff.
Those exhibits that come through are cool, the ones on the human body or the ones on
Oh
like the
yes.
Titanic or the things that come through town. The Van Gogh one that comes through, things like that. Those are cool.
Hell, they have the Harry Potter one. He's saying a circus. Circus is fine. And last on the
Yep.
list are going to farms. Those are usually when you have kids, but if you want to go to like the roadside stands where,
Yeah,
go out and get some
absolutely.
fresh food
Farmers
and
market all the way up here. That's what we do.
oh,
Yeah.
amazing. Those are
Yep.
things. So if you do those, according to these 2,000 Americans, you
Yes.
will have a perfect summer. So there we
Okay.
go.
How many of those? You have to do every single one, or can you get
Every
away with?
single one.
Okay.
The
Well, apple
perfect
picking
summer
is fall, Ron. Apple picking at the end of summer.
happens.
It's kind of
Yeah.
cool though to go and you go get your cider and all that good stuff.
Bake
Start
a
getting your
pie.
pumpkins for Halloween, but it is a fall activity, at least up here. Yeah,
To me, they have apple picking, but I can also do it. I do it indoors. It's called the supermarket. I
I know.
pick, I look, and I go,
But I like
hey,
apple.
look.
I mean, I like that it's local. I mean, you want to eat, as much as you can get your fruits and vegetables local is the
True.
better for you, right? And it's good for the community. So, not too bad.
Well,
I get it though.
that's good for the community, and what's good for the soul is
Hmm.
something we were just talking about a little while ago, and that is dogs.
My puppy, oh, he's sleeping. So,
Hold
I
on.
just
Yeah, yep, mine's sleeping. Yeah.
I had a few just like things that I was reading up on, just like things that people didn't know about dogs, right? And I thought this would be kind of a cool, hey, you have your dog, you're taking your dog out for a walk, you're spending time with your dog. It's summer. A lot of people love their dogs, and we were just talking about how their dogs are the only ones that understand them.
Yes.
I think it's maybe because if dogs actually spoke English, I'm not sure that they would like what they said, but that's okay.
And by the way, I don't think we'd like what they would say because it would
That's
just
what I'm
be
saying.
boom. Oh,
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry. I thought it
I'm
was the
saying
other way.
if they could talk back, we'd be happier if they didn't. I
Yes.
think. So I think some dogs would be like, you know what, I think that you need therapists. I can't handle this. This is not my wheelhouse. Please get a therapist. Anyway.
By the way, wait, before you do any facts, Vaughn,
Yes.
I have an issue with you, I think, because if you look at the graphics where they're placed, Lena, it looks like that dog is named Lena, and it looks like mine is named Ira.
I know. That could be true though. That's okay. That's
Nobody
okay.
name your dog Ira. No, don't do that. Don't name people Ira. Don't.
You know what? I know. It's so funny. I think it's funny when I hear a dog's name like it's like Fred or something like
Yes.
that. That cracks me. I don't know why it cracks me up so much, but I actually
My
love
friend
it.
says you should only name animals after famous people because then it's fun to yell things like Scarlett Johansson, stop drinking out of the toilet.
You could, I know, but you could at least use one name and not two, right?
But it's not as much fun. Samuel L. Jackson, why are you scratching up the rug?
Well, you're supposed to be. Yes, you are supposed to use people's full names when you're mad. So
Yes,
I guess
so
that
there
makes
you go.
sense.
Yes.
But
Okay,
anyway,
tell
some
us
fun
about the
facts
dog.
about dogs. If you have any interest in learning more about your dog, if you have one, one is that they have a sense of time. And I know that
Yeah.
it's a joke that like dogs have no idea. Like you go out to take the trash out, and you come back, and they're all excited to see you. And we assume that means that they don't have any concept of time, but they kind of do, right? So it's been proven that they know the difference between an hour and 5 hours. And if they're conditioned to,
Huh.
they can predict future events, such as regular walk times if they're on a schedule, which makes sense.
Yeah.
They can kind of come to you and say, okay, it's like 4:00. Hello, you do this every day. What are you doing? That kind of thing. The one thing that I thought was very cool, and I think I learned it from Caesar Milan, but I can't remember, is that if your dog's level of your scent in the house is how they tell time.
Really?
So when you leave in the morning, let's say you work 8 to 5 and you leave at like 7:30, your scent is very strong in the house. But it kind of drops off, and they can actually tell by like the level of scent that's left how long you've been gone. And that's how
Very
they tell
bright.
time. So that's why they kind of, if you have cameras in the house or whatever, they kind of mill about at around 5 or 4:30 or whatever, because they kind of know, oh, this is the particular scent level that tells me that this is normally when my owner comes back. So they wake up and they go to the door and that kind of thing. So I just thought that was interesting, right? That's kind of smart. I mean, I guess for them, they have no choice.
I think
That's the
so.
way they do it, right? They say that your dog is as smart as about a 2-year-old, which makes sense. I mean,
Right.
as far as we would compare our, whatever you call it, our mental ability to a dog, it would be like
Becky,
about
you
a
didn't
2-year-old.
miss Yacht Rock. Don't worry.
No, you didn't miss anything. And like we do have Yacht Rock coming up, but we didn't know that until Becky clued us in. Oh my goodness, that's okay. Foreshadowing. So yeah, if you ever wonder why children around the same age have a special bond with their family dog, it could be because they speak the same language. To some degree,
Okay.
they kind of have that same mentality. 250 words and gestures is pretty much what dogs retain.
Really?
Yep, or they can. Some people don't
Oh,
really.
okay, that's better.
Yeah, their
I think
ability
mine
to
knows
do
5.
that. And I think Rottweilers, they've understood, which is my dog, are capable of phrases as well. There's certain phrases they know, and they're pretty smart dogs. So it's an average, depending on what dog you have, of like back and forth of what they can comprehend. And my dog's about to dream. He's dreaming, so he's about to start barking. And I apologize if you hear that.
That's okay.
A study at UCSD claims that your dog can genuinely get jealous when they see you display affection for another creature, which you probably have noticed from your dog. If you ever go up to another dog and you're like, "Oh my your dog's kind of like, hey, and they kind of get in the way of that. They actually can sense, that you're giving attention to something else and get
Uh-huh.
jealous over it. Now, I had a friend I haven't seen in years, but the two of us had Rottweilers young. My last Rottweiler, who's gone, but when he was a baby, I think he was probably a little bit younger than hers, and they played as puppies like it was no big deal.
Hmm.
And then we brought them together years later. This is how we learned the two male Rottweilers that aren't fixed are probably not good to have in the same place. And we go to this park, and I think my dog was 6 months old, and her dog was 11 months old, and both of the dogs, what they do is they go to the opposite owner because they're just curious.
Right.
But at the same time, they were protective of each other's territory.
Hmm.
So they both did a cross, and her dog came to me, and my dog went to her, and then both dogs got mad at that, and it resulted in kind of a fight. And so we were like, "Ooh!" And as two females, that was fun to break up. I think it was 300 pounds of dog or something. We were trying to break up, but
Oh
yeah,
God.
the jealousy thing happens pretty quickly, and you can see it even when you have two dogs in the same house. If you have two dogs in the same house,
Hmm.
you'll see that. They also have a problem with each other's toys. They're always trying
Oh
to teach each
yes.
other. That goes on forever. They call it
Oh
the
yeah.
hot toy of the day, right?
Yes. Oh,
um,
it's like a kid, like you said, a 2-year-old. I haven't played with it, but it's still mine,
right.
so
Like
you
I don't
can't
want
touch
you
it.
to have it. I don't want it, but
Yes.
I don't want you to have it. And so they go back and forth. It's just kind of funny to see that.
And Becky has
Dachshunds.
brought up
Oh,
something that
he's
I
got a.
have the issue here with
Yep.
Chihuahuas. There is a Chihuahua downstairs, and
Yeah.
whenever it sees my dog, it just loses its mind.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. She was saying she has a German Shepherd and he knows sentences, and those working dogs typically do know phrases and sentences.
yes,
And Chihuahuas do not. But I don't know if Chihuahuas don't or if they're just. I think Chihuahuas are neurotic.
they
And
ignore you. They know. They're more like cats.
right, but they're neurotic because they're small animals and they don't ever get trained properly because of that. Most people don't train their small animals correctly because they're.
Ooh,
Yeah, did you know that?
no.
So they act worse because most people are like, "Oh, it's just a chihuahua, I'll just pick it up." If you ever see a chihuahua at a dog park, it'll typically pick fights with the bigger dogs.
Yes, always,
And it doesn't
always.
care about repercussions because mostly the owner will come in and rescue it, and it knows that. So I
Hmm.
think even Caesar Milan said the same thing because I watched a lot. I watched a lot of him over my lifetime, especially
Yeah.
having Rottweilers. And he said those dogs need to be able to pick their own battles and fight them. You can't step in because then they become like invincible. They think they're invincible because they never have to fight out anything that they start.
Ugh, the
You know,
more you
and
know.
and they don't get trained because they're so small. I guess most people figure. I mean, if they go after somebody, it's not dangerous. We have to
Hmm.
train Rottweilers because if they misbehave, they're going to cause some damage. They're going to hurt a dog. They're going to, yeah. So her huas are so chill. They're smart for
Was.
sure. Yeah, just like not like their German Shepherd brother. Well, that's true. But I think they're smarter. I just think most people spend less time working with them. I think than
I think so.
not just Chihuahuas. Obviously, anything small. Mini pinchers are the worst.
Oh God.
They're the worst. They're the ones that come in and they'll pick a fight with all these big dogs and run. So anyway,
Any
where was
dog
I?
that doesn't bark, they yap, you
Yes.
know you're in for trouble.
uh, Speaking of small dogs, dachshunds were originally bred to fight badgers, which I think is hilarious. I didn't know that. And all dogs were
How?
bred for something. Like most of them have some use that
Yes.
they were bred for or they were created for. And I just didn't know for them that it was badgers. That was great. And dachshunds are they're kind of they can be very temperamental.
Really?
From people that I know that have they're one of the dogs that will bite without provocation or really good reason. They're
Wow.
snappy. But anyway, stray dogs in Russia. I thought this was great. I knew about this, but I just think it's a great fact. Stray dogs
Yeah.
in Russia have learned how to ride the complex subway system out there, and they get off at specific stops in search of food. Oops. Oh. he
That's
laughed so
hysterical.
he laughed so hard he lost his earpods.
I would love to get on the train and just be like, "Hey,
Yep.
what's stopping you getting off that?"
Yep. They just get on. and they know where to get off in specific stops and where the food is, and so it makes sense. They're just out there scavenging, and the
Yeah.
subway systems work. We have bike paths where I live, and most regular animals, you'd think they wouldn't get on a bike path. They probably it's trained into them for years because most bike paths used to be like a railway.
Right.
Used to be a train there, but it's a good way for them to migrate back and forth to where they're going.
Ooh.
So walking dog paths, walking bike paths a million
Bike
times
path.
with my dog. We would go out at 4 or 5 in the morning or 8 or 9 at night, and deer and other animal, and
Uh-oh.
foxes and all that in this area, and coyotes, they walk that bike path because that's the easiest way for them to get where they want to get in the city to get whatever. And so,
Oh, wow.
that animals do kind of acclimate to that stuff. So it makes sense that dogs would get on railway, right? Or
Absolutely.
subway.
If you allow them.
Right. I mean, out there, I think that they're just like they must just be like whatever, just kind of like
Hmm.
Mexico, where dogs are just like part of the background, and they get on trains and okay. Also, your dog can smell your feelings, which we kind of know, but not really the science behind it. And so their sense of smell it's approximately like 100,000 times better than yours. And now we're just
Yeah.
starting to. I mean, everybody's sort of probably seen a segment on the news somewhere where dogs are being trained to detect diseases and
Yep.
anxiety and even detect seizures before they happen.
Yep.
So, we kind of know are starting to work with dogs in that way. But it shouldn't be shocking that they can smell things like fear. And there are human examples in my life where I know of people that fear specific dogs, and those dogs react to that. And so they only have a problem with that one breed based on some trauma that they've been through. Right. And I'll bring up my sister. My sister doesn't like German Shepherd. She was bit by a German Shepherd when she was 2 years old. So she just has a weird trauma thing about them. And she loves dogs, all kinds of dogs, big dogs,
Yeah.
any dog you want to put in front of
But
her, she
not
loves them.
Germans.
But German Shepherds, they don't like her and they react badly to her. And it's because of her, I think, her psychological response to seeing one. They smell it. Right?
By the way, Danny, we want to congratulate
Ooh, so
Danny, who's
sorry.
saying he's just he was graduating, so good for you. Thank you, loyal listener. I
So
don't
sorry.
understand the thing about. I mean, I do understand it. It makes sense. I was bitten by a dog, so I'm afraid of dogs.
Hmm.
I was bitten so many times
Yeah.
as a child. I got bit a year ago by my neighbor. He got a new dog.
Yeah.
It was in the pack. It bit me. I started bleeding. I'm like, okay, all shots, everything's fine.
Right.
It never took away my love for dogs. I never
Yeah.
go, I was bitten by a Jack Russell, so I don't like them. I've never been,
Yeah. I mean, but like,
yeah,
I don't think it's like conscious for her. I
yeah,
just know that that's a history that everywhere we go, this is a reaction. So she doesn't specifically say I hate dog. Like she just doesn't even think anything of it. But if she sees one, it will immediately
visceral.
be hostile with her. And
Oh,
so
wow.
it reinforces that fear. She has like a subconscious fear of it, being that she was 2, and I think the German Shepherd that bit her it was a family dog. It was a dog she knew.
Yeah.
But it was always taunted by people in the neighborhood, that kind of thing. And she just was
Aw.
2 years old and running around, and she was just too over the top for the dog, and
Okay.
he just didn't like her being so crazy running around. And it snapped at her, and it probably caught her by accident. I don't even think that it was the intention, but she had a couple stitches over it, and it was the side of her
Oh,
face. So, yeah, I don't think that she specifically like targets not liking them, but her brain does something when she sees one because
and the
of
dog detects it.
the the the, the look of a dog when you get bit. I guess is like imprinted on you, and so
Wow.
any German Shepherd that she sees immediately will bark at her, that kind of thing. And then she's just like, see, I can't like it
That's
probably is a
freaky.
therapeutic thing, but
Yeah.
I think everybody that if they're because most dogs, if you realize they don't dogs that are barking at you are not safe, but there's a point to that.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Dogs that are gonna bite you are actually very quiet and silent, and typically their mouths will shut and they'll give you a lot of side eye. And if you don't know dogs really well, it seems like the dog is biting you out of nowhere. But technically, if you know the body language of dogs, you'll know
You'll
right
know they
before they
warned
go to
you.
bite you, they'll stop
Yep.
and wait for you to like leave or go away or whatever. And if you don't, that's their way of saying, okay, you're in my space or whatever. So like I said, um, there's all kinds of things about dogs that are better. We're better off knowing, and then once a dog bites a child, I mean, years ago it was a little different. Now it's like a big thing going on, and honestly, I wouldn't want children in my face. I
I
wouldn't
agree.
want children hanging off of me or running around and making me anxious. I'm not saying that, I might bite a child. You know what I mean? Like, would somebody put me down over that? Is that fair? Like, so
No, you have your
it's a
shots, I'm
message. It's
sure.
really more of a message to the parents of like, don't do that. Dogs don't like that. Get your kid away from that. You don't want your kid to get hurt and the dog to get put down and all kinds of stuff going on that doesn't need to happen. Right? So
I will
anyway,
say, in my old neighborhood, there are a lot of kids, a lot of little kids, and every
mm,
one of them was smart enough to come up and go, "Is your dog friendly and can I pet your dog?"
yes.
And I'd be like, "Yes,
Ask.
you can." Or if she's in a mood, I'm like, "No, I don't think today's a good day." So,
Right. And also when you do ask, or as the parent, the child obviously it doesn't know any better, but as an adult,
right.
when your child asks and the answer is no, let's not throw a fit over that.
Yes.
Let's not ask a question that nobody can answer more than one way, right? Anyway, when you're fearful, you perspire. There's something that goes on in your body chemistry that dogs pick up on. So
Hmm.
that's really how they smell fear. And bees, it's a joke, but bees are the same way, right? So yeah. Anyway, Newfoundlands make great lifeguards because they have water resistant coats and web feet. I have a friend who has always rescued Newfoundlands, and they're great swimmers, and and they love the water.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's just a fact about them. Dalmatian puppies are born completely white; they don't have spots,
Oh, yes, I heard
which
that.
you did. Yeah, you hear that? I heard the same thing. And then, if you are like anxious or you're a nervous person or whatever, you have fear or whatever, petting a dog that that you're close to can actually benefit your physical and mental health
Yep.
because it creates dopamine and there's a whole bunch of brain chemistry that goes with that, right? But it can lower your blood pressure by like 10%, and it can help lower your feelings of stress, depression, and combat loneliness, of course, right? And of
Absolutely.
course, your dog's the only one that understands you, so don't forget that part.
Going back to what we said before.
Right.
By the way, Lena, Becky is saying that you have to bring your sister over to her house because her German Shepherd loves everybody. So
Well, yeah, I mean,
there's the cure.
it might be. It might be. I mean, so far, every German Shepherd that I've known that's been completely docile has gotten around her and not liked her.
So
So
then
I
let's
don't know.
not do that.
I don't know. But anyway, there's a couple of other things that I wanted to bring up, but I also don't want. I see how far we've already gone with this, and how much.
We're good.
I know, but we don't want to not get into other stuff either. The one thing I didn't know is 3 dogs survived the historical sinking of the Titanic. I thought all of the dogs didn't survive, but I didn't know 3
Really?
did. 2 Pomeranians and 1 Pekingese, all small dogs. Maybe they were the ones that got into the boats, or they were small enough that,
Had to, because that
you know.
icy water would not have, they would have been gone
No,
like
but what I
that.
mean is I think like when the whole thing was happening and people were jumping on lifeboats, I think
Yeah.
they were probably taken because they were small
Oh,
enough.
absolutely.
Whereas the bigger dogs maybe weren't allowed. I'm not really sure. And at the time, I'm sure everybody didn't know how anything was going to turn out. They
Right,
were
of
just doing
course.
whatever they thought was necessary at the time. But yeah, I think the bigger ones didn't survive probably because they weren't allowed on the boats. But um, and Idlewild, California, elected their first mayor in 2012, Mayor Max. He was a golden retriever. And honestly, in sometimes a dog in office is probably better than what your choices are. So we'll just leave that at that. But I thought that was funny. He passed away in 2013.
Oh,
Then they elected a Mayor Max 2 into office, and he's been governing Idlewild. So a second Max is now in there. I thought that was funny. I had kind of heard something about that, but I didn't know the whole story. So
oh my God.
also, all dogs are born deaf. All puppies are born deaf, which you probably know. And as
I
they get
did
older,
not.
they can begin to hear 4 times better than we can. But I think all animals are born deaf.
Yeah.
And their hearing and smell and eyesight all develops as they're, when they're going through their like stages of the first 8 weeks. But
Oh,
yes,
okay. I was going to
so
ask you how long before
I think it's probably
they're
within
up to
2 or 3
snuff.
weeks or something that their eyes start to open and their hearing starts to get better. But I think most animals, even cats and everything, are born deaf. They don't have any kind of. So yeah, but eventually they can hear 4 times better than we can.
Yeah,
You know, and a dog's nose print is unique, just like a human's fingerprints, which you knew, right?
that I
Probably.
knew.
I
Yes.
thought that was cool too, even though it's old fact. But anyway, we're gonna go back to you, Ira. What do you have
Okay.
first? What do you have first?
Well, when you were a child
Mm-hmm.
and you didn't know anything,
Mm-hmm.
how did you learn things? How did you learn? I mean, I'm sure somebody at one point said to little Lena, "Go clean your room," and you're like, "Okay, what do I do? Throw this in the closet and under a bed?" How do you learn these things? Who
By
taught
watching
you?
my parent.
By watching your parents.
Yep.
Exactly. And how do you learn when you get older? Well, you somebody will show you, or you could figure things out. It's not what's happening anymore. Apparently, Gen Z has, as they're moving into adulthood,
Mm-hmm.
they were said, well, mom and dad didn't help me. They didn't show me how to do basic skills. They took care of them. So now when you're on your own, you don't know how to do things.
Yeah.
But luckily, pardon me, they have something we didn't have. Google.
Yeah.
And according to data from Google, there are queries now coming in like crazy, things that we wouldn't have thought of.
Mm-hmm.
How do I use a mop? How do I iron a shirt? How do
Yeah.
I change oil? How do I, all little things
Right.
that we take for granted are
Yeah.
now being taught by Google.
So I want to
And it,
know
go ahead.
from parents of Gen Z
Mm-hmm.
how it is that you don't say, okay, look, you're 6 now, you're 5 now, you can clean up your own clothes, or you can fold
Yeah.
your own clothes. Look, I'm gonna fold your clothes. Look, see how to do this. Now you do it. Like that's every single thing we learned. I think it's because when we were kids, Gen X, Boomers, greater generation, we had to
Mm-hmm.
take care of things for parents because they just weren't
Yes.
home. Maybe that's why. But aren't these parents working? What's happening? What is
I'm going to
happening?
respond to Becky. My daughter knows how to braid hair from the internet, not from me. I single father raising
Hmm.
my child,
Yeah.
and I remember my daughter coming in and saying, "Dad, all my friends have French braid. I went to YouTube. I can now French braid. Well, I haven't done it in years because I haven't had
Right.
to,
Exactly.
but that's exactly what I learned. And when I read this saying these kids are learning how to sweep the floor by going to Google, and at first I was like, oh, that's the funniest thing ever.
Right.
But now I'm thinking, wait a minute, my boiler broke a few years ago, and I
Yeah.
went online and watched a YouTube video and fixed it myself.
Right.
We talked about dogs before. When
Yeah.
my dog, exhibited a symptom that
Yeah.
I was like, oh, could that be bad? Let me Google that and learn. So
Right.
even though it's a simple task that they're looking,
Yeah.
now instead of laughing at them, I'm actually going to applaud them.
Well, they
And
got to get it
as
somewhere. Yeah.
exactly as Ron says, the parents suck. You're
Yeah.
not going to teach your kid,
I mean,
then why
the
you
only
can't
good
blame
thing
them?
about it is that you're not learning like bad habits from within your family, meaning there's stuff that they
True.
do and maybe they don't do the right way, and when you leave the house you find out you learned it some weird way that your family does it. So at least you're learning some more of a general idea of how to do things that is maybe more efficient or makes more
Oh,
sense.
by the way, you taught me something which I am now using
What?
when we had our 4 hour marathon podcast the other day, which
Yeah.
is the playbook.
Yeah. What's the
You
playbook?
remember? You want to explain the playbook?
So the playbook is just like it's a thing that incorporates all it's like a scrapbook and it incorporates all of your family's personal attitudes, ways of doing things, Some of it has to do with how much affection you get in the house. Do you see fighting in the house? Whatever
Hmm.
you that begins. That's your idea of like life.
Yes.
And then when you run into someone else that has a different playbook, this is why relationships, right? Where somebody's like, well, why do you don't you should do it like this because this is how I do it. When
Hmm.
you're really staunch about how you do something and how everybody should do the same thing, that's your playbook because that's what you grew up watching. And when you grow up watching it and it gets incorporated real young, do you think like the world is like that? You just think the world like acts that way. And when
Of
somebody
course.
does it, you'll tell them they're abnormal, which is not true. That's just
Just a
your
different
worldview.
playbook.
Exactly. So anyway, that's what that
So
is.
as Ron says, a parent's job is to teach basics.
Right.
Yes, I've always said my job, and I've told this to my daughter growing up, my job is to make sure you're a good person and can take care of yourself outside of this house
Right.
when you're on your own.
Right.
And that's from birth to now. So, but we have to applaud
Yeah.
the kids
Yeah.
for actually learning this because if the parents don't teach them, how are they going to learn? My sister
Right.
used to yell at me all the time. Well, not
Hmm.
to me, about her kids, saying they don't know how to do anything. And I would sit there and go, did you teach them?
Right. Like that's so common sense. Like, well, how do
I
I mean they're just larvae. You got to point them in some direction. They can't.
exactly.
And so does that mean you almost want to say, well, does that mean you don't do anything? I mean, even to watch somebody, although, I think about back in the 20s and like, even in the late 1800s, and a lot of kids actually left the house at 5 and were like working. I mean, there was a point in time where child labor was like a thing, and so I think maybe it also has to do with like the era that you live in. But I
Could
had to
be.
take care of the house. Like my mother was off working, so she taught me how to do everything, and then she expected it to be done when she got home. And if I could, I guess I could joke around and not do it right for a little while, but it would just make it worse on me if I
Hmm.
got it wrong. So I learned really quick to just be able to do it right and do it fast, so I could get back to whatever I wanted, my homework or whatever. Yeah, cook an egg, fold clothes, rake the leaves, feed the dog, this kind of stuff. It's so weird that you would almost by osmosis, right? People should just be learning how to pick up those talents. Andrew tells my kids, I'm raising you not to be not shitty adults. That's it.
Yes.
Not messy, not disrespectful. It's like there is a sort of there is a kind of a factor of like how are you representing people that raised you, right?
Hmm.
So in that joke, that phrase, were you raised by wolves? That's what it means. Like
Actually, yes,
where
I
did you
was,
come
but they were
from?
very respectful wolves. So
Right, but that means like you coming out of your house with no skills, no idea how to deal with people, no idea how to take care of yourself, no idea, you know, what wolves would teach you, you know,
the phrase,
which is how to build a den and that's it, and maybe hunt.
hey, I bet where was it in Russia? They could take the subway, so
Yeah, see?
they can learn that.
And so I don't know. Yeah.
But the phrase that used to be thrown around, and again, we are a little older, but
Hmm.
the phrase that used to be thrown around was, when you leave this house, you represent this family,
Exactly. Yeah,
so don't embarrass yourself and us.
exactly. I mean,
And then there are people who have taken, I think what happened with the, I guess the millennials are raising Gen Z, or is it the Gen X who are raising Gen Z? Some of which, cool crossover.
I mean, I can't completely not blame my own generation for some of that because I don't
I
know if
agree.
we were trying to make our children not suffer like we did or whatever.
Uh,
And we, of course, overcorrected that and
hmm.
turned out with children that just don't have any sense of anything.
Yep.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you, but I'm sure that some of it has to do with that.
Well, there's some of, I'm guessing that it's part
Boomers.
of it
Yeah.
is I was treated this way, not like you said, the pendulum is now swinging 180.
Right.
I'm going to do everything for my kid. And then there are the ways of, and I hate to bring up my sister again, but
Right.
the reason she did not really teach her children how is
Hmm.
because I can do it faster, I'll do it better, and then we can move on with our day,
And that's
which
that's your
is true, but
exactly. But how do
yeah.
they learn anything, right?
Exactly. And
I
then you
mean,
yell later on when they're older, well, I never had to do this because you always shove me out of the way and said I'll
Yep.
do
Now
it.
that's if you're actually actively getting in the way of your children trying to do things. Well, that's a whole nother problem right there.
Yeah.
So, I
Okay.
mean,
I think we've gone through this, and I know Becky and I'm excited. We're all excited because Lena wrote down we're going to talk about yacht rock.
so
So,
we're gonna talk about yacht rock, and the only reason I brought it up is because Ron always says, "Hey, talk about what you know," right? And
mhm.
nobody knows yacht rock like I do. I can't say it today for some reason.
It's rock yacht.
I think
Yes.
because between Rottweilers and yachts, I'm very confused about what I'm saying. But yacht rock, the term yacht rock, although a lot of people don't know where it originated and think it's been around for 30 years, it has not. It was coined in 2005 by a comedy group, right, led by J.D. Reisner, who created a web series of the same name. So the Yacht Rock was a web series that somebody just created as like a joke,
Hmm.
and it was about people listening to these like 1970s and 80s songs or whatever. But the title stuck, so now people use it just like in general to like refer to a specific type of music, and associating that type with leisure activities and lifestyle of boating and luxury. And it typically was supposed to be in Southern California. That's like kind of how it started.
Yes.
And then it was further popularized by by that web series, right? Using the name. And so it was previously kind of called soft rock
Right.
when I was younger, right? And so I just kind of put together like I'm doing a Ron thing where I'm putting together my top 10 list of artists that are yacht
Let's
rock. Now I'm
go.
not going to come up with songs because if I use songs, we could be here forever, right?
Yes.
I do have a couple of in the what do you call it in the spirit of how Ron does things. I have some honorable mentions,
Ooh.
right? Typically, it's supposed to be like 1976 to 1982, like in order to gatekeep it. That's kind of where the music's supposed to sit. Those are the songs that are yacht
Okay.
rock because of that era, right? But there's some people that have gotten thrown in over the years after that, and yep, those are some of them, Ron. But anyway, honorable mentions for
He couldn't
me
wait.
because when I go into I just had to work and I've been hired for some gigs in Newport, and this happens every summer. And out there, it's another like a whole nother world. It's like I guess if you've ever been to some parts of Florida, it's just like everybody listens to it out there. Like I was working with like 22-year-old kids that were serving food, and that's all they wanted to hear. Like it's you don't normally hear
Really?
20-year-olds
Wow.
wanting to hear yacht rock, but out in Newport, it's like
No.
another world out there, and that's what they want, right? So Zach Brown is one. Zach Brown is not somebody that was out back in the 80s and 70s and 80s, but he has that
No.
feel, I would say. And Garth Brooks is another one. And Garth Brooks did some stuff that was sort of calypso ish, even though that's not his genre, which is country. And Zach Brown, same thing, but they had that, they have that, they did a kind of some tunes that were like yacht rock ish at one point, and those get tossed in, right?
Right.
Pablo Cruz is one of my favorites. The only reason I'm throwing it in is because it's one of my favorites. It is from the era, and they do have a couple of cool tunes, but I can't put everybody in the top 10. So I put Pablo Cruz in because Love Will Find a Way by Pablo Cruz to me is like quintessential yacht rock, right?
I would agree. Yeah.
Rupert Holmes gets thrown in. He is from the
Oh
era.
wow.
Yes, Rupert Holmes. He's from the era, but the only reason I would not put him in the top 10 is because he only really had one tune. Everybody
Hmm.
knows it, everybody loves it, but it's the only one he ever did. I would throw Jerry Rafferty in there. And if you're not sure who Jerry Rafferty is,
No, I don't.
he did two songs. One was Baker Street, and the other one was Right Down the Line. And those are some yacht rocky tunes that if you listen to them, they've
Okay.
got that nice guitar. And we can't get into playing all of these songs while we're talking about it, but I will throw Steve Miller in because some of his tunes are kind of
Okay.
soft rockish, although he was more of a rocker. But some of his tunes fall into that category. I will use Bread. I'll throw Bread in there.
I think
Bread
so.
is
Yeah, you have to.
really, really easy listening. I think
Yeah.
they're a little too soft
Gotta
for yacht rock, but
put you to sleep. Right.
Hall and Oates I put in there
I'm
because they
surprised they're
have
not
some
in the
good
top
tunes.
10.
No, they're not. I didn't get to the top 10 yet.
Wow.
10cc,
Okay.
which Ron mentioned.
Hmm.
Looking Glass, and I only throw them there because they had one tune.
Yes. Come on. Brandy's number one in yacht rock.
Yeah, but that's a song, not the artist. The artist,
That's
they only
true.
had one tune. Orleans, I put in there
Oh,
as
okay.
honorable mentions. Right, we're still in honorable mentions. Christopher Cross, of course.
Honorable mention?
Yes,
Oh.
and Kenny Loggins.
Oh, you're hitting me hard now.
I know, I know. Kenny Loggins. Yeah, like I said, he had a couple of tunes. I know, boo, Ron doesn't like that. Here's my top 10.
Okay, let's go.
I'll put uh, I'll put the Eagles at number 10.
For Yacht Rock.
Yes, because they do have some New Kid in
Some
Town, and
absolutely.
they've got some Take It Easy in there, and
Hmm.
it's just that they have a good amount of tunes that will
Okay, fine.
go into the category, and this is going to be based on how many songs you can put in. I will say that I would put Ambrosia at 9. And he mentioned Ambrosia, but Ambrosia actually has 2 or 3 tunes, and they're always. And these are my top 10, and these are
Yeah.
because these are the ones I want to put there. You could disagree if you want. You could agree if you want. You could say
Tell
no.
us.
I think somebody else should have went in there. That's fine. My number 8 is America.
Okay, I can ride with
America
that.
had quite a few tunes,
Yes.
including obviously Horse with No Name is the
Voice with
biggest
no. I
one.
was gonna sing
But
it.
you got
Yeah.
you got Sister Golden Hair. You got Ventura Highway. You've got a few tunes like that are like pretty good for that. Air Supply's got to be in there, right?
Okay, I'll give you that. Yeah.
You'll give me that. Toto is a big one for me. Toto's a big one. Of course,
I
Rosanna's
would
the
have put them
biggest,
number
best
one.
tune ever.
Yes.
And if you don't listen to the album version of Rosanna, I can't even talk to you, right? Not to mention that was a song about one of I think one of the
Go ahead.
band members was dating Rosanna Arquette.
Correct.
But if you
Yes.
did not know this, Patrick Swayze shows up non-credited in that video as one of the dancers. So go look for
Oh,
him.
really?
Yep.
Ah,
Yeah, his
okay.
mom was a dance teacher, and that was one of his very first times on screen, which is pretty cool.
Looks like
I,
Becky agrees with you with Ambrosia.
Ambrosia, yes, it is. Little River Band, right?
Eh.
That's my number 5. And again,
Okay.
I'm just tossing these in. I didn't put them in any particular order.
Right.
I gotta put Chicago in there. Chicago is
Yes.
amazing. And
I
I'm
will
not
agree.
talking Peter Cetera Chicago. I'm talking
No,
old Chicago.
back the Chicago Transit Authority.
Transit Authority, absolutely. Like you got all that Saturday in the park and beginnings and just to see you smile and all that kind of stuff. Love
Absolutely.
that stuff. That stuff is the best. We have to put the Doobie Brothers in there. / Michael
Yes.
McDonald. And by the way, Michael McDonald wrote almost everything. He back in that day, he literally wrote so many tunes that Yacht Rock ended up
I
playing,
agree.
right? And I had to put Steely Dan in there. Steely Dan is the best.
Okay.
I know you don't like Steely Dan. Maybe
Either
I
you
don't know
love
if
him or
you
you
like it
hate
or
him,
not.
apparently.
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh my God. When I'm dying and when I'm on my deathbed and I am in a hospice somewhere, I need somebody to bring me the best 20 hits of Steely Dan and play it. Because I'd like to die to that stuff. That's how much I love it.
Okay.
That'll make
Well,
me
it'll kill
happy.
you.
That'll
So,
make me
yeah.
happy as the morphine is going through my veins without Michael McDonald. And I would say number 1 has to be Jimmy Buffett. Because when I'm in Newport, this is what they want to hear. They want to hear Cheeseburger in Paradise. They want to hear Changes in Latitudes. They want to hear Son of a Sailor. They want to hear Come Monday. They want to hear Margaritaville. This is the stuff they want to hear. And I forgot one honorable mention.
Yeah.
But I can only use it because it's one tune, and none of their other stuff really fits. And that's Kokomo by the Beach Boys. The Beach Boys is only in there because Kokomo's such a huge tune that you have to put it into that genre. I don't think the rest of their stuff is yacht rock, if you ask me.
What would you say to REO Speedwagon?
I see. To me, they're more rock. I don't think they're yacht rock.
You would put them in rock category?
I would. But I love
pop rock maybe,
I love
but
Roll with the Changes, and I love some stuff by them that's probably not as mainstream. So and a lot of their other stuff is just ballads. That's how I felt about REO. I don't think
that's
yacht
how I
rock
feel
is
about yacht
ballads.
rock. A lot
I
of it
think
is,
yacht rock is more I think there's more of a progressive sound to that. Like, I think a lot of their stuff has a beat and a feeling, and it's not completely slow, but it's also not really raging. To me, it's in the middle. It's calypso. It's calypso-ish. So when you hear Kokomo, to me, that's kind of what a yacht rock beat would sound like.
That may be
Or
one of the ultimate ones.
raw or
But if
Margaritaville,
you're gonna
something
put
where you're
in,
moving, but you're not like dancing fast, and you're also not slow dancing. I don't know, somewhere in there. And Becky's
well,
gonna
if you're
do
gonna
another
put in
list.
Kokomo,
Yes,
Becky already wants to do another yacht rock list, and I had a hard time because you said think
Ron's
of the
done.
artist.
I put Ron off lists. That's awesome. He's just like giving up on lists. It took me to do yacht rock for it to all end. That's so funny.
You've
I I
accomplished
don't
what you
believe you,
needed to
Ron. I
do.
don't believe you. I think you're lying, Ron. I think you're gonna do a
No,
list.
we want the Ron top five
We
list.
do. I think he's just. I don't know. Yes.
But you were saying, you said it in the beginning,
Yeah.
take out individual songs because then we'd be
Right.
here
And
forever.
that's why the only reason I put the Beach Boys in there. Right. What were you gonna say about individual songs? Go ahead.
I was gonna say, what about Summer Breeze? Summer
Seals and
Breeze.
Crofts is like I always see Seals and Crofts as more like of a soul band, to be honest with you.
Really?
In
Okay.
a lot of ways in a lot of the stuff that they did. And I think Summer Breeze is, yeah, I don't know the way that it hit the charts at the time. I guess you could put it in there. I also noticed that a lot of yacht rock is not female, but what are you gonna do? It's just the way
That's
it is.
true.
So you could put Fleetwood Mac in there, kind of, and you could kind of
Some
put,
songs.
I'm trying to even think of what else you would use that would be female. I guess there isn't much. I guess a little Carly
Uh,
Simon would be okay.
yeah, that's not
You
bad.
know,
Oh God,
a little. I
I
mean,
don't know.
I did yacht rock over the weekend, and I put in like Linda Ronstadt, and I put in a little Bonnie Raitt, and I put in a little
Ooh,
some stuff like that. I
like
put a little
Bonnie
bit
Raitt.
of some of the older country artists in there, even some old country Olivia Newton-John, which probably most people don't realize she did a whole country thing at one point.
Oh,
But yeah,
okay.
some of that kind of thing. But for the most part, is a male genre for whatever reason. I'm not sure. I guess it's just you know.
Yeah,
So
that is kind of weird now that you mention
yeah,
that.
I've always just because I have to go out and play that all the time. I'm like, I got to balance this out. So I got to put stuff in here that's not male. Like it seems like I'm always scrambling to find female tunes to like fit in between so
Hmm.
that it's not,
Crosby,
a
Stills,
soul
Nash and
fest.
Young.
I'm not saying you can't. I don't know that,
Hmm.
and I also forgot. I know the Alan Parsons Project. People always talk to me about them too.
Progressive
And
rock.
I would
Yeah.
say, I guess, like I don't know. I guess some of that stuff is, I guess, softer rock and maybe not as new. Like it seems like more mid to late '70s, and it seems like, that Crosby, Stills and Nash seems to be more early '70s. But anyway, you may not agree with me. It's like a weird genre where like
It's
everybody
your
picks it
list.
differently and everybody sees it differently. So I
Well,
give you
there
the
is a band
guidelines.
out there.
Yes.
If you like this type of music, there is
Mm-hmm.
a touring band out there, and I will
Mm-hmm.
give them a plug because I think they do a great job. Called Yachtly Crew.
Oh yeah, we
So
have one of
you can
those.
look it up,
Yep.
Yachtly Crew, and
Yep.
they go out there and they do a fabulous job
Yep.
of playing all the hits from yacht rock.
That's
So,
awesome.
and you know what? Comment. This is why we have social media. Go to
Exactly.
Facebook, go to everything, and just comment. Let us know what did you forget or what do you disagree
Right.
with,
I want to,
and that's what we do on
participation.
this.
Tell me you hate what I chose and you think I should have chose these things, or you think that the honorable mention should have been better. And I think probably like Ira was saying, I think probably in every little community there's probably a little local band that does this kind of thing because
Oh, absolutely.
if you have an area like I do, we have Newport and some areas like that, Jamestown, some areas out here where it's just that's you will just clean house if this is what you do for a living because people want to hear that stuff. And there's not enough for the places to there's not enough bands to book that do this kind of music. So you're always at least in the summer. Just like
Oh
if you
yeah.
I think parts of Florida are probably like that all year where you're just like if there's these little tiki bars on the water all over the
Oh,
place, and you can go from place to place to place to place and just make tons of money as a band that does that kind of thing, and it's an easy thing, I think,
see,
probably.
there you go.
So anyway, I just gave you a career if you want one. There you go. You know?
So all year summer. There you go.
Yes, yes. That sounds like a good name for a band.
Actually, it's my friend's band.
Oh, is it? Okay. Well, there
He
you
hasn't
go.
done anything in a
See,
while. He went into
I was
movies,
right.
but it was
I
all
was
year
right.
summer. So I'll give them a plug, even though they're not doing music anymore. They're doing movies.
Oh, okay.
Uh, I think we've gone on, and I think we've learned a lot. We had a lot of fun today.
We did.
So I think it's time to get in our plugs. Lena, go ahead.
All right. So you can I am DJ Lana on Facebook. I have a page, DJ Lana, DJ space LANA. And then we have our Love and Life with Lana and Dave podcast, which I will be getting up a little interview with Ira soon, as soon as I can narrow it down from 4 hours to something that people can listen to with some
It's got to be a
convenience.
three-part episode, no doubt.
Right. And that's kind of it for me.
Okay. I have the Circling the Drain podcast, the podcast about nothing that'll make you laugh. And he has the YouTube. You can go to youtube.com/@CTD podcast. But if you put in Circling the Drain podcast on any social media, you'll see us and it'll come up.
Yep.
And that's it for us. So, on behalf of Lena and myself, I want to thank you for hanging with us on a Saturday. Be sure to join us on Monday. What does it say? Who's going to be there? Martin and
Martin
Ron.
and Ron.
And I
That
guarantee
sounds like a band too.
Martin and Ron. It sounds like a yacht rock band, does
It
it?
does. I think it is.
Or wait, of course, there's one more band name, and you'll probably get it. Ron's Top Five. Just Ron's
Yep.
Top Five.
Ron's Top 5. You know, like
So
Save Ferris. That was a band. Ron's Top 5 could
it
be a band.
was. Oh, Ron, do you play any musical instrument? No top five. What? Don't
No,
tell me
his.
Lena actually got you off a doing list.
I
Come
don't think so. I
on.
don't believe it. I really don't.
No,
I don't.
can't be.
There's no way.
But if he does, then the rest of us have to pick up the slack. We'll have to do a
Do we?
list.
Okay.
Yeah, well, you
guess.
just did one, so
I just did one. I've been trying to do something every week like that. So, all right. On my day, I can do it.
there you go. Remember, if you need some fun, join us because we have it going on daily. Bye, folks.
Bye bye.